Welcome to the exclusive with Kemi Ajimobi. My guest today is Mr. Korede Adenowo, and he's an Executive Director at Standard Chartered Bank, where he's responsible for corporate, commercial, and institutional banking business in Nigeria and by extension, West Africa. Sit back and enjoy. It promises to be an enlightening one. You don't want to miss this. Good afternoon, Mr. Korede Adenowo. Thank you so much for inviting us to have this interview with you.
Thank you, Kemi. Thank you.
I don't want to waste your time because I know you're a very, very busy man. So I'm going straight to the questions that I have for you. So I always like to ask, I'm very particular about tracing how people started their journey. So it's important that anyone who's looking up to you can connect where you started from where you are now. So that's why I'll start by asking, like, share about your childhood. What was it like growing up for you, and finding your way through adolescence and early adulthood years? How was that like for you?
I guess. Well, let me first say thank you very much, Kemi, for putting this together. That's one. Second thing is it was I'd say normal, average background. Father was an engineer, civil servant, and then went into business. Mother was a doctor and was a lecturer. And normal life, 1 out of 4 children. I'm the third boy, and the last is a girl. Average family, lived in Ibadan, went to the University of Ife, studied economics. Then I did my ICANN, so I got my ACA, and then I started work. So essentially just an average adolescent life.
Is there anything or anyone from your background with major influences on who you are today?
Yes, but not deliberately, but or not consciously. But I can say that. Obviously, when we were all growing up, we all had mentors. We had people who guided us, our parents, uncles. We also had people we looked up to, So I think in terms of, I always thought I should I be a lawyer, And then I think my dad once said, look, if you want to be a lawyer, what about your law library? There are people ahead of you whose parents are already lawyers and who already have a library, and the children will probably just go in, they have a head start ahead of you. That's what you think about accountancy. And I've always loved economics. So he talked about accountancy, and I got a fancy for that discipline. And then we all then decided, look, if you want to do accountancy, don't start with accounting in university. Why don't you have a different experience? So I loved economics, so I did economics for my BSc, 4 years, finished that in 87, and then went straight into accountancy, working with Akintola Williams Deloitte. I did that from 87 to 1991, where I got my ACA. And so I would say, yes, my father guided me, influenced me in choice of profession. I would also say my late mom was also very hardworking. I looked up to her. I remember when I couldn't move on from pencil to pen. We all moved from pencil to pen in primary school. I think it was primary 3. And my writing was so horrible. So she started taking me through lessons, pencil lessons, till I got it right, and I moved on to the pen, to the ballpoint pen, So I would say, yeah, both of them, of course, expectedly.
So my third question is, why the choice of career in banking and finance with over 34 years post-university experience in banking, finance, and consulting? How was the experience for you, and how has it been? So
Sure. Okay, so I've taken you through up to accountancy, and so experience with accountancy, audit, consulting, I started realizing that we were always looking back what companies and institutions had done in the past. And so we were doing a lot of audit work. And then that was the time when new banks were open and there was a drift from accountancy and different professions into banking. This was late 80s, early 90s. And so look back. Why do I keep looking back at the money that has been spent? Why don't I look forward? You know, and that was how banking and finance caught my fancy. And so I then moved into banking. Because of that, you know, I wanted to look forward. I wanted to look ahead. So for the next 12 years, it was 2 banks. And then 1999, I joined Standard Chartered Bank and continued in banking. And so essentially it was just, look, I don't want to keep looking at history. Let me just move forward and pursue a career that takes me forward, that is forward-looking. That essentially was it.
My other question, other than banking and finance, is there any other career path you would have loved to do? I was speaking with a young lady the other day, and she's doing us really, really proud outside the country. So she's actually an aerospace engineer with NASA. And she said to me, she had all A's, she has a PhD, she had a PhD at age of 26. And she said to me that sometimes she just felt like maybe she just go into the art class and see what's happening, or just move into the accounting class and just find out what's happening. She just had that curiosity. Were you that kind of a person? And I mean, other than banking and finance, if there's any other career path?
Honestly, every so often, I think about law. Law just...
You look like a lawyer though.
You know, law just intrigues me. Every so often I think about law. And I still think I would be an attorney, honestly. Yes. I think if I have the time, you know, I had the time when I was CEO of the bank in the Gambia, but I knew that my tenure would not be more than 2-3 years. I wouldn't have been able to finish a law program in the Gambia, you know, so I actually considered it to go do law part-time, you know, in the university in the Gambia. But like I said, you know, I knew that I won't be too long, I won't stay too long there. So law catches my fancy.
Next question for you. Being an economist and a chartered accountant, how have you utilized these skills to navigate your way in the corporate world?
Okay. I started banking in 1992. And when you start in banking, or you started in banking in those days, it was mostly credits. You were an analyst, and you did a lot of analysis of financial statements, of businesses, of transactions. 2 things that I knew were fundamental and would always help you: accounting and law. If you sum it up, you look back, you look forward, you look left, you look right, accountancy and law is what banking is all about. Apart from the relationship management, everything comes back to accounting and law. You start from the financial statements of a company, right? It's been put together by accountants. You need to know what is the debtors, what are creditors, what are receivables, what are payables. That's accounting. Then law, what is the legal status? So at the end of the day, law, which I had studied several modules in my ACA career, and the accounting itself is what has really helped me. Why Standard Chartered Bank? I've spent, this is my 22nd year here. Obviously, like everybody else would say, they never knew they would spend so long in one institution. You know, it's similar. But if you look at the uniqueness of Standard Chartered Bank, and if you look at the past history of banking in Nigeria, there has been a lot of volatility. There was a time we had 127 banks. They failed. We had mergers from 2006, and then I think we shrunk to, was it 25 or so? right? So there has been a lot of volatility in the industry. And so Standard Chartered comes in 1998. We started 99, but came in 98 and provided stability for a career. And so I got into the bank for stability, for professionalism, for a global network, and for a world-class working environment. You've been through the premises, this facility, and it's like being anywhere else in the world. Exactly, like anywhere else in the world. And so, whether you're in Hong Kong or you're in Singapore or you're in Standard Chartered Towers in Lagos, it's all similar. Therefore, going into the elements of the bank, it's international, 60 countries, about 65,000 staff. You function cross-border. So I've been fortunate to, and this answers your question of why 22 years, why that long? I've been fortunate to work in 3 countries across 15 different markets and with 60 different countries all put together, right? Which other institution can deliver that to you in Nigeria? And I love Nigeria. So I've been out as an expatriate almost 3 times, and I keep coming back. And the skills I acquire, I bring them back. And the skills I acquire within the institution, I apply here. So it's a unique institution, driving commerce and prosperity through our unique diversity. Because we are uniquely diverse, because trade is our past, we are driving commerce and prosperity for individuals through that unique diversity. So it's a uniquely diverse institution that fosters professionalism.
The previous year was very, very challenging for financial institutions due to global pandemic. What role did Standard Chartered play to support employees, clients, and the country through the pandemic?
Okay, excellent. Let me start from the clients. First of all, with the clients, we have invested hundreds of millions of dollars globally and in Nigeria to have systems for them to operate with without coming to any of our premises. And so that had been in place. And these have been secure and fortified, even before the pandemic. So it was easy for them to switch from very physical interaction to virtual interaction. Very easy for them. So the clients were solved. Where you needed paper, we had runners who went and collected paper, maybe for international trade, intermittently, following protocols, and they got the business done. For staff, it was exactly the same thing. So we had about 80% of staff working from home. And so the premises was almost a ghost town. And they did all the business. And touch wood, we didn't suffer any operational risk that was caused by offline, virtual working. And so we had about 20% in the office, about 80% working from home. We supported staff by giving them virtual private networks. Also, in some instances, providing ergonomic chairs, ergonomic furniture for them at home, And in some instances, for well-being, we actually had health and medical facilities, for them where they could dial into, have well-being coaching from time to time, and so the well-being was taken care of. Instances where there were health challenges, we supported them. We have even just research to support staff, even where they have solid health challenges. arising from COVID. So a lot was put in place, not only for them to work, but even if they fall into a crisis, for both customers, for staff as well, and all the different stakeholders. Suffice to say also that in the business environment, we were one of those that donated ₦500 million, to the central bank COVID, fund, to build COVID centers, for the COVID fund to actually also provide healthcare facilities, within the country. So a lot was done. Now, in terms of that challenge and meeting customer needs, apart from providing the virtual environment for them, we also put in place a $1 billion fund globally for those who wanted to invest in healthcare, vaccines, syringes, anything to do with sustainability, right? Face masks, face shields, sanitizers, and then we had 2 companies in Nigeria who actually sent in their projects. The projects were analyzed and we disbursed from that fund to them, because it actually fell into the space of sustainability, of business sustainability and healthcare. And so that was also, for those who wanted to take advantage of that for business, we have the fund available for them.
It's quite impressive what because COVID really took a lot. We're having a conversation before we get to start interview. How
It took its toll.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It's amazing to know what Standard Chartered is doing. So kudos to Standard Chartered Bank. I haven't fallen victim, but I've gotten mails of people trying to tell me about the bank, that I have money in the bank that I did not open. How is Standard Chartered protecting your clients? How are you enlightening your clients to know what to be aware of so that they don't fall prey to this cybercrime?
Okay, excellent. So there are 2 things. One is protecting the clients, and the other also, we're talking about financial crime.
Yes.
It's all financial crime. Protecting the client and also protecting the financial system from financial crime, cyber crime. So for clients, consistently sending messages to them about phishing, about scams, so that they can also educate themselves about the nefarious acts of certain minority of people, what they're doing to actually defraud them. That's the first thing. Second thing is, our systems are so robust. The securities that you go through before you can even access a customer's account also deters fraudsters from hacking into clients' accounts and clients' systems. Now, when it comes to protecting the financial system from cybercrime, we have filters, right? So, any transaction that is beyond your profile, so you are profiled, your business is reviewed, depending on your risk rating, it is from 1 year to 3 years. Your business is reviewed. Anything that goes beyond what you say you will do, there's a filter that picks it up. That says, this turnover is going to be 50 billion. He's doing 100 billion. Where's the extra 50 coming from? It picks up those transactions, you explain, you provide evidence, you continue using your account. It's called transaction monitoring. So we have a transaction monitoring mechanism that picks anything that is out of the ordinary, right? That could actually be a financial crime. Sanctioned entities. Some countries are sanctioned. You shouldn't be doing business with them. There are sanctions from the United Nations, from different organizations. If a transaction is going through to those people, has stopped. And we'll let you know that you're not meant to be doing business with those countries or those entities because they are sanctioned entities. And so those filters are in place. And suffice to say that these are centralized systems. Nobody here has authority to let those transactions go. So they are caught and the client explains why he's doing this and we explain to him, because we are a force for good. We cannot allow our payment systems to be used for financial crime or cyber crime.
That was so good to know. Okay, we just came out of recession, and I don't know whether we're supposed to be like relieved or we should be worried. If I were to ask you, what advice do you have for the government or for Nigerians on how we can ensure we do not go back to recession? What would you say?
Okay, it's about we will always go into recession globally because the world is a global village now. We're all globalized. Supply chains cut across several countries, and you may be producing in Nigeria. Your raw materials are coming from China. They're coming just in time to make sure that the production goes on. Whatever happens in China could affect Nigeria, so it's a global world. The government has done a lot. We need to continue to diversify the economy. The economy, if you really look at the GDP of the country, very well diversified. GDP-wise, very well diversified. From agriculture to services to construction to oil and gas, and then to the creatives like yourself, media and technology, right? Where we still have concentration is foreign currency. Our foreign currency earnings are still about 75 to 90% from oil. So we need to diversify the FX earnings. Because even if you're producing, you have to import raw materials. So you still need foreign currency. So we should just continue to import substitutes to reduce FX demand and also diversify the FX earnings. That's one. Second thing, of course, which the government has been working on, you saw VAT go from 5% to 7.5% to diversify government earnings from oil and gas also to taxes and other items. And the government is doing that. We have been oil and gas dependent since the 70s. So it is a stepped approach. We do it step by step. As long as there's a vision and we know where we are going in terms of diversifying, we are on the way there. So it's about diversification, consistent diversification of our FX earnings and of the revenue accruing to government.
Thank you. So, away from numbers, you are who in local parlance will say Oga at the top. As a boss. How does it feel being a boss? What is it about being a boss that people need to know? And would it be right to say that it will be lonely at the top sometimes? What is that experience like for somebody who will certainly be an Oga at the top someday?
Okay, let me first say that I'm not at the top.
Okay,
so
but you're a boss.
Practically, I don't sit at the top. You see me and my team, or you see my team and I, we're always together. So it can't be lonely. We're always on a group chats, or we're always calling each other, or we're in team meetings, or we're socializing together. And I tell my wife, oh, we're having a team meeting on a Saturday. You know, we're having an outing. We're always together, right? So it is not lonely because I take inputs from everyone. I take inputs from my team before taking a decision. Always. And when I step into a new role, and I've tested it and tried it several times, if I have a dedicated office to myself, I ignore that office for the first few weeks. In an instance for about 3 months. I was in another country, I needed to understand the culture, the nuances. You go and sit in your dedicated office. You're on your own. Because they're saying certain things about you on the floor, and you don't know what they're saying. You don't know their attitudes, you don't know their peculiarities. I sat on the floor for 3 months. I was picking up the local language, I picked up French, I picked up the nuances. They saw me as them, part of them. So, leadership is sacrifice. You have to make every single person on your team feel like you are his best friend. You get the best out of him, and you not be lonely.
That's interesting. So, Iswami, what you're saying is the fact that you're at the top doesn't mean you shouldn't be relatable to people who are not necessarily up to your standard.
Correct.
Just connect with everybody because you never know who they are.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
I'm taking that. That is so deep. So deep. Okay. What are you doing in terms of mentoring and counseling of young professionals? And how can people benefit from it?
Okay, excellent. So, I've done post university about 34 years, and I worked in a few countries. I worked in about 4 institutions. I've been deputy managing director. I've been managing director of a bank. I've been head of this, head of that. Always learning, and at the same time, you must give back. You must mentor, you must coach. So after a while, I had a colleague who once told me, 2004, most of your time will be spent not on business, but on people issues. And so my experience has been, most of my team, not necessarily in Nigeria, everywhere I've worked, I'm either a coach or their pastor or their shepherd or their father. Because you have to make sure that you get the best out of them. How do you get the best out of them? Their personal lives have to be settled. If it's not settled, they cannot be high performers. So you may even have to, in some instances, understand their personal lives and make sure that their personal lives are actually it's smooth, right? To enable them to become high performers. Therefore, with the job, you are a natural mentor. So I connect a lot and I reach out a lot. Team members, stakeholders, friends, continue to build a network. So I have mentees in South Africa, in Kenya, in Nigeria, in Cameroon, in Senegal, everywhere. Because Africa is my turf. They need advice, they have aspirations. And so they need advice, they need coaching, they need references on a daily and regular basis. I give that. And the beauty of technology today is that it's made life so simple. They can reach out to you on LinkedIn or on Facebook or on WhatsApp, whatever. It's made life so cheap, very reasonable and very simple for them to reach out to you. Yesterday, I just got a message on LinkedIn. One of my mentees said, "Oh, needs to reach out. Don't you have my phone number?" It was on LinkedIn, a LinkedIn message. I said, "Oh, this is my number. Get in touch with me." Got in touch with me on WhatsApp and we started talking. So simple, within 5 minutes, done. That was it. So you just have to continue doing that. So personally, what I've now done is formalized that. And I set up something called one-on-one access, right? Which is because this has been coming, I speak here, I speak there, everybody wants to know how to get to the top. They want to actualize their aspirations. I just thought, okay, let me have this entity that caters to that, where people sign on, they talk to me, we go through it 1 hour, 1.5 hour sessions. These are my objectives. And almost every single instance, I have been through those experiences before, so I give advice. Why did I also set up that entity? Because a lot of people want to reach out to people who are perceived to have made it, but there's no access. They can't get there. They cannot get there. So I set it up. You see me on LinkedIn, you're a professional, you want to reach out, you have certain objectives, you have certain aspirations. This guy has been through it. They reach out, we set up a time, virtual contact, 1 hour, boom, 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 boom. Problem solved.
So what has the response been so far? The ones that you have done?
Very good. Very, very good. Elated, happy, that they can even reach you.
That's like a big deal.
That they can even reach you. And you have a 1 hour session with this person who is not at the top. Who has done things.
I think you're for a word.
Who has done things.
A great
who has
man.
done things.
Yes, sir.
So they have 1 hour, 2 hours. So who has done things. So you continue the mentoring that way, both formally and informally.
So they can reach you on LinkedIn
Yes.
to be part of this.
That's right. LinkedIn, Facebook. Yeah.
First is work-life balance. So I've met people who say, I think I don't have work-life balance, so I don't even know what I'm working and what I'm balancing. So you're doing quite a lot of things and you have a lot of responsibilities. So how do you balance everything?
Okay. I'm an advocate of work-life balance, but my own definition is different. My definition of work-life balance is, okay, let's take a back, let's get back a bit. How do you work-life balance when you're connected by phone to your office and the customer demands 24/7 service? How do you work-life balance? The only way you can work-life balance is to play while you work and work while you play. Pure and simple. 8 to 5 is dead. I send you a WhatsApp message at 9 p.m. You respond by 9:03. Your son wants to go to the hospital that is playtime, right? Your son wants to go, you want to pick him up at school, 12 noon, 1 o'clock. When you're at work, when you pick him up. So, it's life whilst at work, and work whilst you're enjoying life. It's a mix now. In French, they call it mélanger. You're mixed. Work is mixed with play and play is mixed with work. The man who says don't come here after 6 will go hungry. Don't call me after 6 p.m. and I'm sleeping. He will go hungry. And the man who says he will not attend to his children whilst he's working, I will be in trouble. So it's all mixed up now. Technology has, I look at out of office messages. Are they still relevant? Is your office your building? Your office is your phone. Some people, their office is Instagram.
That's true. That's true.
It's Instagram. And they're on it till midnight.
Yes. And they're making money.
And they're making money. So their work-life balance is mixed. It's all mixed.
And then COVID even made it even more easier, if I can say. I mean, okay, thank you. Are there mistakes? Because I've observed that people like to hide their mistakes. So they don't like to tell their stories. They don't like to tell their errors. They just want people to see the good part of their lives. But have you had mistakes during your career progression that you want other young professionals to learn?
Plenty of mistakes now. You just learn from them and you move on. You just have to learn the lessons from the mistakes. You know, you just have to learn the lessons. You know, recently we had some funds, you know, with the clients that not even a client, a contractor, you know, that was going bankrupt, and my staff didn't know. You know, we lost money, but then within a few months we recovered the money back. You know, so you will always make mistakes. Always make mistakes. I've given out facilities to people who give fake documents, and then you go and check from the off-taker, and they tell you, no, this documents don't exist here. It was fake, money gone. So you will always make mistakes. And let me frame it for you well. Experience teaches you not to learn from experience, but experience is the best teacher.
Yes, sir.
It's the best teacher. But it teaches you not to learn from that experience.